This is the garage. If you look back on the original incorporation list for HP, the only asset HP when we first started was a Craftsman drill press. That was the initial asset that was contributed when HP first started. And this is the actual garage. HP now actually owns the house and the garage. So we bought it a number of years ago and then have gone through a complete, very extensive restoration process to restore it. The biggest challenge is the house sits right in smack dab in a residential section of Palo Alto. So Palo Alto residents tend to get a little prickly if we take a lot of people over to the house. So usually once or twice a year they'll open it up for an open house to allow people to come see the house and come see the garage. But that doesn't stop big massive tour buses on Saturdays pulling up in front of the house and people piling out wanting to get their picture in front of the birthplace of Silicon Valley. Now, one of the things that Bill and Dave created early on was what they called the rules of the garage. So I've modified it. Here's the rules for the bus, right? So, believe you can change the world. Bill and Dave believed wholeheartedly that any employee with any idea could change the world. Work quickly. Well, you guys have to work very quickly. You got between now and Austin, right? Keep the tools unlocked. Work whenever. Now, the tools unlocked is kind of an interesting little funny story. Bill and Dave were notorious for coming in on Saturdays and Sundays and doing engineering work. Because Monday through Friday, they were so busy running the business, they'd kind of gotten a little bit disconnected from actually doing engineering work. So Bill and Dave liked to come in on weekends and actually had their own projects that they worked on. Well, one time, Bill came in to do some work on a project that he was on and needed some test equipment. He went looking for it. He knew where the cabinet was, where they kept it. He walked up, and someone had locked the cabinet. So he went out, got himself a bunch of bolt cutters, cut the lock off of it, and then posted a big note on it. Never, ever lock this cabinet. He wanted no hindrance to an employee to be creative, do anything they wanted to do at any time. Not to have to go ask permission or go, worry about getting something checked out, being able to work at any time with any piece of equipment at any time. Know when to work alone and when to work together. It's not always about having everybody mashed together and, chatting and talking. Sometimes you got to go off by yourself and you've got to work on your own idea. You need that personal, focused time to really work it. Share tools, share ideas, trust your colleagues. And that's a big thing in the HP culture is about trust. And actually at HP, people are assumed that you can trust somebody as a colleague until they prove themselves as untrustworthy. Versus out typically in the real world, you assume you can't trust anybody until they prove trust. In the HP culture, you assume trust until they prove themselves otherwise. No politics, no bureaucracy. They're kind of ridiculous in a garage. Kind of ridiculous in a bus too. The customer defines a job well done. It's not about what you think is good. Goodness is not your own perspective. Your goodness comes from whether or not the customers think or are interested in your ideas. Radical ideas are not bad ideas. This is what I affectionately refer to as fighting the corporate antibodies. Right? Keep in mind, I have a challenge. As a CTO, and I also run, I'm the CTO for Personal Systems Group, so that's all the PCs, laptops, and handhelds, but I also run what's called the Innovation Program Office. So you can think of me as I'm the innovation evangelist, the keeper of the innovation culture within HP. 320,000 employees in 169 countries around the world. Right? Radical ideas have a hard time bubbling up inside of HP, of any organization of any size, just because of the corporate antibodies. There's just this natural inertia to stay doing what you do day in and day out. But part of the challenge is how do you break out? How do you come up with those ideas that fundamentally change the business, or in this case, change the world? Invent different ways of working. I'm a big believer in what I refer to as constraint-based innovation. So any team that comes to me with an idea and they ask for X number of dollars and X number of headcount, they never get what they ask for. Because what I find is if I give them exactly what they ask for, they follow the exact same process that they've used on previous projects. And part of the innovation is to invent new ways of doing it. So by actually creating artificial constraints, you want 20 people, you get 15. Oh, well, we can't do it. We need 20. You get 15, figure out a different way to go do it. We need 5 million. You get 2. Well, I need 5. You get 2. Figure out how to achieve the same objective, but you only get 2 million. So now you got to think of a different way to go do it. So it's constantly this pressure to invent new ways, right? make a contribution every day. If it doesn't contribute, it doesn't leave the garage. So it's not about just sitting around and pondering, the universe. It's about really making real contributions, and believe that together you can do anything. So it really is about bringing those teams together. And then obviously from HP, it's invent and invent all the time.